Hello everybody, welcome back to my stream. Testing some new modifications to my stream today. More from an audio perspective. I just noticed that there's like a little bit of like a hiss behind my voice. But hopefully that'll get fixed here soon. Let me see if I can fix it really quick. I think I know what it is more or less. I'm thinking that's the problem that I had my gain on a little too high. Hopefully that is sounds better. Some of it is just I do have some background noise, so I apologize for that. But anyway, let's continue, shall we? I know the last time that we met, we were working on the task form, adding the due date. So let's continue to work on that. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this part. I think my computer restarted. I'm gonna try something here. I think the issue's with my microphone, but hopefully I got that fixed. I think that's good. Sorry about all the noise. Let's see. Sorry, getting an alert going off here. All right, so while we wait for the application to start, I'm just working on my audio to make sure that my audio is working okay. There's only so much testing you can do off stream, so. And I figured while I wait for this thing to start, I can make any adjustments. I feel like my music, because the way I had it set up is the music should go lower when I talk. And then come back up after. For some reason, it's not It's not working. Maybe if I try it there, maybe that'll... Maybe right there, perhaps. Yeah, I think that's what made it go lower now. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Enough of the testing stuff. Anyway, and the app's already running, so let's get to work. So let me refresh here. And I don't know if we're gonna get to the clone task feature, but we definitely can work on the recurring task. So I want to make it so that it has inside of the form an option to make it a recurring task, and then you can select the different recurring formats, whether it's daily, weekly, or monthly. Let's go look at the table for recurring tasks just so that we have the adequate information. So let's research the table prompts for recurring tasks. That's what we're working on right now. All right. So, one here. I just wanted to look at the reports. I mean, these are very minimal because I only use this while I'm streaming. But my regular day-to-day one has obviously more up-to-date information. So, and as you can see, the current streak is working because today, I think I have it set up to work on the weekends too, but obviously I don't stream on the weekends. I mean, sometimes I do, but nevertheless, in my settings, I have it set up so that I work, so that I work like even Saturday, Sunday. And obviously if I'm not actually doing any work on Saturday and Sunday, then obviously the problem becomes that I just it becomes an issue where I can't it doesn't I did that in reverse. It becomes an issue where obviously my streaks are gonna be messed up because of the fact that it's accounting for the weekend, and if I don't stream on the weekend, I'm not on this app in the development environment, and so because I'm not in the development environment, it's not tracking that day. So obviously that's problematic. So I need to take that off. So let's get rid of Saturday and Sunday here. So anyway, as I was saying, let's work on the recurring tasks. We're gonna look at the table. So let's go to contents. And we have a recurring template. User ID, effective date, end date, recurrence type, is active, task categories. I'm not sure why I brought in task category. Oh, I think I know why. Because obviously, if it's a recurring task, it has to have a category, so you get the category from the parent. What else do we have in here? So effective date, end date. I guess that would be a good idea to have. Recurrence type. Let's go look at what I set up for recurrence type. It's been a while. I started working on this app in December, and here we are 6 months later. So you know, I don't remember exactly how I set up the table, so I'm kind of doing a refresher. The recurrence type is daily, weekdays, weekly, or bi-weekly. I don't know that I want to go to that level of granularity. I think it's going to be better to just do daily, weekly, and monthly. So daily, weekly, and monthly. Which I also need to change that in my provisioning assets. So that would be under app users, recurring templates. So here, daily, weekly, and monthly. Oh man, I need to post some of this up. So let's see. So this is updated drop downs for recurrence table. And then the app user. So a lot of these API ones. More APIs. I made it so that now my list items, whenever they get deleted, you go to recycle. Oh, I forgot this one. And this one. And this one. And this one. Same thing. And then this task sessions. This was this was all due date at. All right. So the next thing, now that we have everything up to date on Git, says something needs update. Oh, the .NET install tool. Oh, and the Visual Studio Code could have been updated anyway. Okay, so we did the research. We need to put a task in there to drink coffee. So Alright, so we changed the column. Now we need to work on the form. Can't talk, sorry. Alright, anyway, let's get back to it. Alright, let's close our work here. So on the task form, let's go over here to Claude. And basically what I want to do is make this kind of thing. Well, maybe I don't want to follow that. Maybe I just want to do a descriptor, right? And so what I want to do essentially is on the edit task, what would be a good place to put this? I'm thinking that it should be like our estimated duration. Over to the right, there should be like an icon that allows you to say, okay, I want this to be recurring, and it gives you the additional fields that you can then put in to work on the recurring task. So let's give it some context. So let's go to app prompts. And then we have for the app user setup form. Let me look and see where that is. The forms, setting form. Bookmark. Timer methods. I'm just trying to see the setup for the days of the week. Here you go, work days. Okay, so it's nothing special. It was just an array in line with the days of the week. That'll be it. But I like this idea better, because if we look at the settings, let's go back to the settings. I don't like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday written out. I think it should just be MTWTH, you know, similar to the image. Or not even TH, it just has another T for Thursday, Friday. I mean, it's implied. I think anybody that's using the application would understand that the second T would be Thursday. So let's go with that. Let's go ahead and set it up that way. So that way, whenever we make the task a recurring task, it'll basically show these additional fields. I think that way we can have it set up to where it will automatically show that, and then we can update the recurring template table. And with that, we would be able to add the recurring part here. That way we can go ahead and fix it. All right, so let's do that. Oh, all right, let's go back. What have we given it so far? App props. Okay, what happened to my Visual Studio Code? Alright, so app prompts. So we have a recurring template. This. No, let's see. We have a recurring template, and then we have the hooks for the recurring template. I want to add the recurring template section to the task form. Essentially, a user it will have the form expand when a user clicks like on a checkbox or something. It will expand to show a drop down to select daily, weekly, or monthly. Daily. Daily should have because what else do we need? We need the effective date, the end date, and make sure that it knows. I'm going to select the dropdown is going to be the recurrence type. Just select daily, weekly, or monthly. PT is active. I don't know if we need a boolean for that. I guess we do, right? Because let's just say hypothetically you put on there that you want a recurring task until the end of the year, but you know you're midway through the year and it turns out you don't need that task anymore. You can just click on it. You can click to deactivate it. The PT is active. Should default to true. I have to remember if my task list is using title for, yeah, it's using title for the name of the task. So now the title of the task should be dynamic in the way it is displayed. Meaning if the task edit form, it should use the title field. That way we carry a universal way to bulk update title by only having to make the change in the parent task. The task list has PT recurring templates. Sorry about that. I don't know what I pressed. I pushed the button by accident. Hopefully you can see me. I pushed the button by accident. All right, so if no, then we know we're leveraging the title from the parent recurring template. Task form title should not have, well, let's word it this. So we don't need the actual. We don't need the actual title of the task itself to update. Because I want to have the option to decouple task from the recurring template, and in doing so, the task defaults back to the original. In the recurring template, so we have the task category. So the same thing, same application to the category. If parent exists, we now use the parent category. Essentially what I want to do, I mean, if you see that you're creating the task every day as you're using the application, I want you to be able to tell the application itself, hey, let's go ahead and make this a recurring task. And if you do that, then the application is intuitive enough to say, okay, oh, you link this to a parent task that is recurring as a template, so to speak. So then we're gonna have everything now linked to that one. So if you were to update the title, once, it updates it for every time the recurring task appears. Thus, you don't have to necessarily go through the painstaking process of having to change that title to the recurring task every single time that you make one change to the recurring task. It kind of trickles down, and all of them also share the same property. However, if you wish to no longer make it a recurring task, then we're just decoupling it from the recurring template. We're essentially telling it, you know, we're not going to have a parent association there. And then in that scenario, what would happen is your task goes, or that task, I think, would then in that scenario just revert back to whatever its original state was. That's why I'm saying, like, we need to have some level of dynamics around that. And this is going to impact as well a lot of things. Now that I think about it, it's going to impact anywhere that categories is used and title is used, which is pretty much everywhere. Team task category. So it looks like we're going to be looking at all right, so we're going to be looking at the task form. We're also going to be looking at the log point task list. Anywhere that categories is mentioned is going to have to be targeted. Even the category legend. I think though, a lot of this is centralized, so Okay, so let me see what we have here. Do we have task home? Well, it doesn't matter. Task items where it's important. Inline task add implies it is an addition. It is a singular task add, so recurring does not apply. Only applies to full task form. Task form layout. Add recurring full next to the estimated duration pills next to the make the control appear below the custom type. So the custom type, or custom time rather, custom type time controls above the notes. All right, so about the notes, and then make the days of the week check boxes with singular character. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Make monthly day drop down max 29. Only because I don't know, maybe we should be 28. Yeah, 28. Or perhaps we can use first last to. It's just that, oh, it's so painful to think about this because not every month has the same amount of numbers. Let me just use something else for this part. Make something recurring on a form. What is best practice for the day option on monthly, given that not all months have the same number of days? Give me a second, be right back. This is what annoys me about when things are afterthoughts. Like I literally just asked the question and now it has me log in. I log in and it doesn't remember the question that I added. Stupid. What is the best? What is best practice for a recurring scheduled task form for the monthly option? More specifically, the day of the month, given that not all months have equivalent number of days. Equivalent. The last day of the month, most user friendly. Skip months without the date. Monthly on the 31st, the last day, the first weekday, third Monday. So have a drop down 1 through 29 or 28 and have 29 through 31 so or last day when available. Is drop down best practice? I'm assuming it would be. Because I mean, what are the options? Would you have a radio? And a radio would be a lot of radio buttons. Then you have your free text. That idea. I must have run out of time on my task. Yeah, my task is out of time. So right now we're working on hearing the recurring form controls. You can finish this one. Go to the next one. How do we even have this on the table too? We have the recurring type. Because we have a day of week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we need to change these to just be this. And since we changed it there, we need to go change it into our assets here. Task category, what is it called? Day of week? Is day of week not here? Effective date, end date, recurring type, exact date, task categories, counter. Counter? Oh, this is PT tasks. Task categories is active, recurrence type, end date. I don't even know what. Oh, counter is just the ID. Alright, so for recurring template. And so what did I change Monday, Tuesday? Was that? Oh shoot, I changed it here, didn't I? PT tasks. Let's leave that alone. And if this change happens, I'm going to close it so I don't make that mistake again. Alright, so we have the recurrence type, active category. So we need to add a couple of columns. So we're not asking this. And it is the week chart was for singular characters on the weekly. And because we're already on monthly, so like for monthly, we would have this option. We would need an additional field to house that information. Open to suggestions. On that column name. I'm thinking maybe PT on day as a single line of text. Or actually, now that I think about it, it might be better to just use JSON. Because if we looked at the JSON here, because we can have a string, and then we can have JSON save those ambiguous values into one column, and then when we do reporting, we don't have a whole bunch of other we don't have a bunch of logic from a reporting perspective. From a reporting perspective, we could just technically take the JSON. So I think a better option, we need to change the recurrence type. We definitely want to keep active. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know if I should roll up not only the recurrence type with its choices into a JSON, but also have the effect of an end date as part of it. Or perhaps be better to use a and, you know, instead of having individual columns in the table for each, but let me ask ChatGPT one more thing. For this, would it be, how would JSON look for this option, as well as weekly and daily? Can you show me sample JSON for it? I don't want to include an interval. I think that when you do intervals, you're just opening a whole different kind of worms, and it's just too much complexity. So I definitely don't want to do that. I definitely want to include weekly. You would have an array of the days of the week, the frequency. I don't want to involve interval. Every 2 weeks on Friday, I don't want to include interval. Day of month, interval 1, day 15. I mean, as much as I want people to use my app, I don't know that I want to make it that complicated. It's just that I feel there's so much complexity if you add interval, if you add mean, what the heck is ordinal? Where does it talk about ordinal? Ordinal? Oh, okay. I gotcha. Ordinal is like the second Friday or first Friday. I think I'm gonna sit back and think on this one. I'm nearing the hour on my stream. And I really have to think of how I best want to approach this, because I also have to think about reporting. And while, I mean, JSON is not a big deal if you're using something like Power BI, because Power BI allows you to destructure JSON as part of your steps to normalize your data. So you wouldn't have a problem doing reporting from Power BI perspective. But where you would have a problem is, for instance, if I allowed them to, or not allow them rather, but they, I mean, because they would have access to their SharePoint site. I guess the biggest issue is if they have access to export the list data, then we run into the problem of then we have a problem where they wouldn't be able to leverage something like Excel. I don't know how well Excel does with JSON. Like if you have a column with a bunch of JSON, like a JSON string, I'm assuming that you could. I'm not an Excel guru, but I'm trying to think ahead of those kind of scenarios. And so I really have to kind of give it some thought. I think I'm going to sleep on it and then make a decision on how we want to best handle the schema around a recurring task. Because I think that, you know, that does require quite a bit of thought. But with that being said, I am going to sign off for today. Thanks for coding with me. Again, if this helps or if this interests you, you know, kind of work through code, my madness up in my head with regards to programming and coding. If that, you know, is appealing to you, please follow me on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. I know that I don't create a lot of videos on YouTube, but I plan to eventually start editing some of these live videos. I prefer to just be live and not do as many tutorials, only because I have to be honest, tutorials, while they can be beneficial, it's important to just have a general perspective. And if you have any questions, I'm always open on chat to answer any questions or help in any way that I can. But with that being said, I'm gonna sign off. Thanks for coding with me. Peace.